Hello and welcome to another edition of Chill with Kaiju Kim. I'm Kaiju Kim. Hope you're all doing well on this lovely afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you. You see those two paintings I got up there, those two prints? Oh yeah, they look fantastic, don't they? Yeah. Aren't they so good? Wouldn't it be awesome if I were to talk with the artist responsible for those beautiful prints? Oh, wait, he's here with us tonight. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I am here with the wonderful, the talented Mr. Bob Eggleton. Hello, Bob.
Hey, how are you, Kaiju Kim? How are you?
I'm great. Apologies to everyone watching to the technical difficulties we've experienced. It's gonna look, I know it looks a little wobbly, but apparently StreamYard does not want to work for Bob. So
Yeah, it's sort of a tech thing that it doesn't want to support it or something stupid like
yeah, all right. Hopefully there's not an echo coming from. I'm gonna need the chat to help me out here. Make sure there's no echo. Are we good, chat? In the meantime, Bob, why don't you talk about yourself for the two people who don't know who you are? Like, what you got? What you got going on?
Bob Eggleton, I'm a hero artist from
Oh my God. I'm so sorry, guys. We are having some major technical difficulties. Oh my gosh. So, can you hear me now? Can everyone hear me? Oh dear. Technical difficulties. So this is not awkward at all.
I hate technology. I really hate it.
It really it's annoying. It's very annoying. All right, can everyone but all right, so everyone's still having trouble hearing you. Can you are you able to turn up your mic, Bob? Do you have a mic that you can turn up?
Hold on. Well, let's see. I think that the whole the mic is on here, and I think I'm speaking. I mean, you can hear me, right? Correct?
I can hear you loud and clear, but apparently the chat cannot.
Right. It's hold on. I'm trying to see what the whole I'm trying to see how to turn this up. I don't know if I don't know if it's
okay. All right. Now it's saying now the chat is saying that they're better. That's better. It's better. All right. We're good. We're good now.
Okay. You know what I did? it's like when you unplug something and plug it back in, I hit the mute and the unmute.
Ah, there you go. All right.
But it was like it was unmuted, but then I hit the mute, then I hit the unmute. So.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. So okay.
Are we good?
I think we're okay. I think we're okay now. All right. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen, for the hot mess that this stream has started off as, but we're gonna get back on track. Let's start by saying hello to everyone in the chat. All right, let's go up here. We got bonus commentary. What's up? Godzilla Train 1090. Welcome, welcome, Doomzilla. Hello, Michael Hamilton. Monster Report. Hello. Let's see. Robert Montserrat. Matt Entman. Welcome, everyone. All right. I think we're all good. Oh, and we also got Daniel Demana here. Welcome, welcome. All right. Now that our tech issues have been somewhat resolved, let's get right into our show, shall we? So, Bob, I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions that I ask all of my guests who come onto my show.
Sure.
How did you get into Godzilla? What's your favorite Godzilla movie? And what is your favorite non-Godzilla kaiju movie?
Okay. How I got into Godzilla was the fact I love dinosaurs my whole life. I love dinosaurs. So I was at the 1964 World's Fair. And I saw those great T-Rexes and things. So they had the Sinclair Oil Company did this huge dinosaur exhibit. Well, I got obsessed with dinosaurs. So when we got home, I loved dinosaurs. My mother, getting me a cheap and fun gift from a local store, got me this thing called the Godzilla game. And it had Godzilla on it from Ideal Toys in 1964. And it has this great picture of the 1962 Godzilla on it, torching New York City of all places. And anyway, so she got me that, and it was love at first. I said, "Oh my God, who is Godzilla? I love Godzilla. I love this." So I was kind of following Godzilla along, and that's where it came. That's where it got interest. That's where I became sort of really obsessed. My favorite Godzilla movie is Monster Zero, or Godzilla versus Monster Zero, or Invasion of Astro Monsters, it's known as. They backseat the monsters in it, but I don't think that's a bad thing because Nick Adams does a really great job of carrying the film. He does a really great job of carrying the movie, and a lot of fun dialogue. And you got to admit, it's a fun, fast-paced moving film. 3, my favorite you say non-kaiju monster?
Non-Godzilla kaiju film.
Okay, non-Godzilla Gorgo.
Ah, very good. I think that's one of my favorites too, actually.
Gorgo is a one-off, and the King brothers made it in England, and Tom Howard did the special effects on it, he did the suit making, and he went on to work on 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is another one of my favorite science fiction movies. But he went on to do work on that, but he made the suit of Gorgo, and of course it's Eugene Lurie's 3rd sea monster movie that he made. Of course, he made Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, and the giant behemoth, and then he did Gorgo, and so. There's something about Gorgo that was like you're just cheering her on as she's trying to find her baby, and then they kind of remade it in Japan as Gappa, the Tribunian.
Yeah, Gappa is like almost kind of like a carbon copy of Gorgo, but it's fine.
Well,
I mean,
it's a great trope. It's a great story trope, like the mama or parent monsters come looking for the little baby. I mean, that they destroy everything in their path doing it. That's a great story angle. So it makes you really like the monster a lot.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I actually visited some of the filming locations on my honeymoon this past May, so that was fun in London.
Cool.
Yeah, Tower Bridge and the Big Ben and all that fun stuff. All right, enough of that. Let's get right into the interview. All righty. So let's start from the very beginning with a very basic question. Who or what inspired you to start doing art?
My dad, really. He got me in front of a chalkboard, and I was able to do a lot of perspective and things like that. And I drew dinosaurs on the chalkboard, of course. And so from there, I kind of graduated to paper, and that was when I was about 5 or 6. And I started drawing on that, and then from then on in, I just worked my way up, and I wanted to draw comic books when I was a younger kid. I really wanted to draw comics, and that didn't happen. I did actually did some comic work, but I didn't realize how absolutely arduous it could be. And so I got into science fiction artwork, and that's sort of led me to other things. And this led me, Godzilla's all part of that kind of thing. So that's how I got into art. Yeah.
Awesome. So I am just so amazed at your ability to capture the likeness of Godzilla and other kaiju and anything else you paint, really, just so perfectly. So, do you have any special techniques that you use? Do you possess black magic? How do you do it?
No, I just people say to me, a lot of young artists say, "How do you paint Godzilla?" And I said, "Learn to paint a tree." And it's kind of the same texture. He's that same kind of, barky kind of texture. And it's just sort of like, I look for the personality in Godzilla. I look for his personality. And I think that Godzilla has this incredible personality. And whether we know it or not, and sort of all the monsters do, they have the incredible charm to them. All of the Toho, the Showa series on, and everything I liked, everything about. I mean, I like the Legendary series. I love the Shin Godzilla was good, and I'm sure I'm gonna like the new one they're doing now. And it's like the best time in the world to be a Godzilla fan. It was like the best time in the world because we never thought we could go into Target and find Godzilla toys. You know what I mean? Or we've got all these to choose from. We've got Godzilla Singular Point on Netflix, and we've got all these the whole Legendary series of films. We've got Toho's got their new films coming out. It's such a Godzilla time. It really is.
It really is. You're aware of all the cool Godzilla stuff that happened on Godzilla Day, right? All the what was your opinion on the Gigan shorts that we got?
Oh, I loved it. Shinichi Wakasa is a really good friend of mine. He's my brother, so to speak, in Japan. And I when I went there 20 years ago, got to see his workshop and everything up close, and some of the suits and Mothra from Tokyo SOS and all that. And I got to see all of that up close, and it was just stunning. I mean, because I'm an extra in Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. I'm in there for about 2 seconds, and then they pan up and I'm gone. And I'm running. We had to run in 103-degree temperatures down in Yokohama. And then they invited us back. They said, come back to the studio and you're going to see some of the effects shooting. So we did. We saw some of the effects shooting. And it was just so incredibly old school that I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
It was awesome. It was awesome. So,
and I loved the way that Gigan is just a masterpiece. It's this Shinichi just knocked that one out of the park. He did a great, but that's him. He will do a great job on anything. And and Godzilla Day was nice as they showed the Hedorah short that they made last year, along with Mechagodzilla. And it may not know this, but it hit box number 5 in the box office for that week. Godzilla came in. Godzilla against Mechagodzilla came in number 5. So
that is amazing. Yeah, Godzilla is gaining popularity, I would say. Probably thanks to the MonsterVerse.
Yeah. Oh God, absolutely. I mean, and now we've got Kong and Godzilla coming up, which is, I know Kaylee Hottle, the star of the first one, she's in the second one now, and she just got through filming down in Australia, and they wrapped principal photography in Australia of that movie, and now everything's moves on to doing the visual effects, and then it's going to be for a March 2024 release. And I'm excited about that one because I think it's going to be more interesting stuff. They're introducing a third monster that nobody knows what's going on. So, and Kong and Godzilla, it's clear they make it a great team. So there's going to be a third monster in that one, I'm sure. So we don't know what that's going to be. So
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I would like to see like a new kaiju. I'm like, as much as I would like to see Biolante come back, maybe, but I wouldn't mind seeing another new kaiju because, new is sometimes better.
Yeah, the rumors have been destroyed, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So, whenever I have an artist on my show, I'm always curious to know what their opinion on is. I can't speak tonight. I'm a hot mess. So, Godzilla Singular Point. What is your opinion on the art style of Godzilla Singular Point?
Oh, I love it. It's got a great. It's really got that anime kind of feel. You know what I mean? Like some parts of it are a little bit. What if Miyazaki did Godzilla? I mean, there's a thought there. Um, but it's got a sort of a 3D kind of animation, computerized animation look combined with some traditional animation techniques. And it's got a heady story to it. I mean, you really have to go back and you got to keep a track of who's on first when they're talking the tech talk on that thing because and the way Godzilla looks, he's this evolving creature from the new. He's like evolves from an eel or something, and then he comes up and he becomes Godzilla terrestris and Godzilla Ultima, and and I just think he's really. I think he's really. It just again, this is the reason Godzilla is so successful. He's changed all the years of his existence. He has changed. In 68 years, he has changed. And, even I dare even bring in 1998 Godzilla. He changed. He looked very different. And that's how they keep it fresh and interesting and original, no matter what. And all the films Toho has done, very few of them has he ever stuck the exact same. And you guys know what I mean when you look at the differences, the little differences in his looks and things of this nature. I mean, he's changed, and that's been a good thing. It's kept him fresh and interesting.
Yeah, it has. Can we expect some Singular Point art from you anytime soon?
I did some drawings and stuff, and I sold them, but I want to do Ultima. I think Ultima's really cool looking. Just they're very cool. The way those rings open up when it sort of goes to exhale. I mean, that's pretty cool. That is very cool. It's going to be it's a very successful series, and I guess they're doing the season 2 right now. They're making it right now in Japan, so we'll see.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it, but maybe they're working, doing stuff behind the scenes. But I'm looking forward to it. I did enjoy the anime. I watched it a couple times. It's a little tough to digest, even if you watch the English dub, but it has its merits. For sure, for sure. Robert Montserrat says Ultima is gorgeous. Yes, yes, he is.
Yes, beautiful looking. It's a beautiful looking series too. That's the nice part about it is, and they bring in some of the old monsters, Angulus and things like this. They bring in these other monsters, and they give them a kind of an interesting new look. But at the same time, you look at them and you say, okay, that's definitely such and such. That really looks like Jaguar. It looks like I mean, it's just fun to do it. And here it is, Jaguar. So it's kind of right out of a sort of they kind of really had like a Miyazaki feel to him, I think, in my opinion. Just a little bit of a, he's clunky and stuff like that. And then, in the end, he becomes the big savior.
Mm-hmm. And Doomzilla says, also, Salunga is a cool looking kaiju.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree. He does kind of look like, to me, he looks like a very, very angry, scaly bunny rabbit, but
yeah.
it's an interesting design.
Yeah.
And our friend Danny Demana says that constant refreshing is one of the reasons Godzilla has been able to survive for so long. It's always fascinating to see how new variations on the same theme continue to be made.
Right, exactly. If you put 3 artists in the same room and you blocked them off so they couldn't see what they were doing, and the instructions were draw your own version of Godzilla, and you have to stick with, you got to have the 3 rows of spines, you got to have the atomic breath, and there's certain things that they want you to stick to that are all part of the trademark of Godzilla, and the rest is up to you. You would have 3 different Godzilla designs, completely different, and each one would be completely different. I'd love to see that happen. That would be a lot of fun to do with some people. people. I mean, and everybody does it. We could sit down and Matt Frank's got his idea of what his idea of what Godzilla looks like. I've got my idea of what original Godzilla looks like, my own idea for Godzilla, and so on. It's just everybody has their idea, and you stick with you stick within the parameters of what you have to have for Godzilla as a real, as a monster.
Yeah, awesome. So about a year ago, I don't know if you can see, guys, but I got my hands on this wonderful little gem here, Godzilla Likes to Roar, illustrated by you. Yeah, I've read it to my niece and nephew. They love it. So it's nice to have that part of their childhood. I'm sure it's part of some other people's childhood as well, people who are watching.
Yeah, that came out and it book that just came and it kind of went. It was it just was part of the 1998 merchandising of Godzilla, and we did two. We did Who's Afraid of Godzilla and Godzilla Like to Roar, and I enjoyed working on it a lot. Although it was a real crunch to get it all done in the end, but it got done. And that was the nice part. And but it wasn't the merchandising on that it kind of flopped a little bit because it wasn't the film was a flop. The film made a lot of money. Godzilla 98 made $375 million worldwide. It just didn't get very good critical reviews, and that was part of the problem. And yet now with when Godzilla 2014 came along, they got a whole new merchandising came out, and it did great. It did the toys, everything sold really great. The video, DVDs, all that sold really well.
Yeah, it did. So how did it feel to work on this product? I think this is an official Toho type product because it's got the trademarks and stuff on there. So how did it feel to work on something for Toho?
Toho was originally the idea we were going to do super deformed, you know what I mean? Like the differential, kind of like the big heads and the kind of cute little arms and everything. And then at the time, the general manager of Toho was saying, he said, Godzilla is fierce and you must be fierce. So I had to make him kind of more like that. And they were really adamant about using the 1990s style Godzilla, like Biollante Godzilla, that sort of thing. They really wanted Godzilla to be fierce and ferocious. And so I started to just have fun with that whole idea, let's make it fierce and ferocious looking, but funny things are happening. You know what I mean? And so that's sort of my kind of airplane humor, as the saying goes. Kind of making something, you take something that's dramatic and then something funny is going on around it. So.
Yeah. Speaking of books you've illustrated, we do have a question over in the K-Force Lounge Facebook group, which is the official Facebook group for this channel, my channel, where I gave people the opportunity to ask any questions they may have for you. And by the way, chat, if you have questions for Bob, please leave them in the chat and I will be sure to make sure he answers them. But this question comes from Robert Montserrat. And he says, I would show it on screen, but I can't show more than one thing at screen on the same time.
Right,
but
sure.
yeah. But anyway, so the question is, my biggest questions for Bob are about his two King Kong books coming out. One that, one that reprints the original script by Edgar Wallace and the other by the Loveless novelization illustrated by him. Just want to know who's publishing those, when can we expect any announcements about the releases, etc.
Probably the one is being published in England by PBS Publishing, and that will be out next year. Probably, I just did the signing sheets for it. I did a limited edition of 100 sheets, but it's going to have they're doing a big run of this book, so you'll hear about it. It's PS, and I'll announce it on my Facebook page when it's available and where and when and who they can get it. And it's got a color cover that I did. It's got a color inset page of the signature sheets, and it's got 3 or 4 black and white illustrations that I did for it, or that I've done anyway, and I said would be great in it. And that's kind of it's apparently it's his story before he met Mary C. Cooper, and so it's a different kind of thing. But we're going to be doing that, and that's going to be done in England. And then the other one is done through MBI Eastern Press, and that's going to be the slipcase, gorgeous, beautiful kind of illustrated version of the Delos Lovelace book, and they wanted me to do 8 color pieces for it. But I told them I had to do 10 because it's worth having 10 in there. And so I'll have 10, and I'm just finishing up number 10 like this week. So that'll be out hopefully in the spring of next year, right around Kong's 90th anniversary when it comes out. And it'll be signed, and I'm writing an essay for it as an introduction on giant monsters and how King Kong is the granddaddy of all giant monsters and all that. So, and this is just a pleasure to do because I had to invent my own Kong. I had to invent my own character, what they look like, because I wasn't. The deal, because it's the Delos Lovelace novelization, I'm not allowed to use the film trademarks or anything like that. So I created my own King Kong, and it's fun. I've got some really good stuff coming out, and there'll be it's going to be a nice book when it's done. It'll be out for the anniversary, so it's Kong.
Awesome. So before we started, you were showing me a little something that you were working on. Are you allowed to show that on stream?
Oh yeah, well, I'll walk you over here. Hold on a second. Let me just nobody get feeling like we're sort of.
Oh no. Zoom is telling me I have 10 minutes left, but I'm not done. I have so many more questions.
All right. This is just sort of, you got to see what I'm doing over there. That's sort of like, that's him on the Empire State Building. I haven't even finished the piece, but anyway. So ask your questions.
All right. So next question comes from Mazer Squad on Twitter. Would it be selfish to ask if he has a high-res image of the Godzilla and the Lost Continent cover?
I have a print of it. So I do have a high-res version of it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, because he was saying that most the only ones that exist on the internet are like really low res, but anyway, yeah. I'm sorry guys, I'm a little flustered because Zoom is telling me I got like 8 minutes to finish this interview. I'm like, but I have so many more questions. We might have to do a part 2.
Or just what you do is just you let this thing and you log out and then you dial me back in and we do the same thing all over again.
I might just have to do that. All right, cool. So this stream is a hot mess, but it's also fantastic. All right, cool. Let's see. Let's take a question from the chat. We got a question from Godzilla Train 1090. What is your favorite piece of art that you've made related to kaiju?
Oh, that's tough. That's it's always my next one in a sense because it's always going to be something. But I might say that the Godzilla with the atomic bomb going off in the background, maybe one of my favorite pieces I've done for a Godzilla-related project. And that's used right now. I've got a lot to say on this. FYE has those exclusive gift bags. You can order them online at FYE. And they have some stores around the country. They do. We have one near us, but there's not many stores left. But they do have some well-performing stores that are staying. But they have these Godzilla gift bags with the Godzilla with the atomic bomb going off and all that. And then also Mezco use my art, and no compense to me because it's the way that the copyright thing works and all that. They use my art on the Godzilla versus the playset, the Godzilla versus Hedorah playset that came out from Mezco just recently. And there's a great book called the Godzilla Guidebook, and it's kind of it's in there. What might be interesting is if you do this in 2 parts, so you call me or you Zoom me back, we do it again, then I can go get the stuff and I can show it to you.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see if we can make that work. Oh my goodness gracious. Dang it, StreamYard, you not working for Bob's Technology. What are you doing to me? Let's see. I had another question from Twitter. From Kumunga the Brave on Twitter wants to know what are you the most excited for in the new Japanese Godzilla film or the 5th MonsterVerse film?
I am very excited to see that they're going with the new. They're gonna have Godzilla and Kong back in the MonsterVerse film. It's gonna be a Universal movie, not Warner Brothers. It's gonna be because the Legendary is not partnered with Universal, so it's gonna be Universal. And the other thing is, I'm just excited where they're gonna go next. Like the Hollow Earth, I think is a great way to go. The Japanese one, I've been hearing rumors that he wants to make it that Takeshi Yamazaki wants to make a retro Godzilla film before the 50s. He wants to make it happen in the 40s, and so that's going to be really interesting to see that happen. You know, it'll be very interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do. They've really been creative, and especially I think he'll do a really good job. I mean, I thought Shin Godzilla was a completely different look at it, but it was a fun movie. It's a good movie.
It was a good movie. Shin Godzilla took a little while to grow on me, but I've learned to appreciate it. It's very good.
It was a lot of subtitles, and if you look at it, it's kind of like it's apparently viewed in Japan as a dark comedy, as they call it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's sort of a joke. It's kind of a pastiche on the Japanese bureaucratic system of government, and there's a lot of that in there, as you've seen. You know, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. All right. Doomzilla wants to know, of all the kaijus of the Godzilla universe, which kaiju do you think deserves more love?
Varan.
Mm.
Varan. Everybody forgets about poor old Varan.
Yeah.
And he had one film, and then he showed up in Destroy All Monsters as a kind of a little puppet, but they just kind of went up, bye, like that, you know. And Varan would be great to see back as something major. Because he's just was sort of forgotten. I mean, there's a whole story about why that film was largely, it was so, it was going to be made for TV in this country, and ABC decided to pull out of it, and they didn't want to do it, and so it left Toho with a black and white Toho scope movie of this one-off monster that it was just because it was black and white in the middle of them in their color era, it just didn't get the attention that they really wanted it to get.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. So going back to the art stuff, would you say that you prefer doing kaiju art, as opposed to focusing on like normal stuff like landscapes and trees and people? And
I like all kinds of things. I like seascapes. I like all kinds of things. That's one side feeds the other, as they say. It's like if I like that kaiju stuff, but I also like doing landscapes and seascapes, which I do really well with, and it all plays that I made a living for the last almost 40 years doing this. So that says something. You have to be diversified. You got to be a little bit different, because sometimes things aren't as hot as they normally would be. I mean, we'd all love Godzilla to be great all the time and hot all the time, but it's not, and it comes and it goes. So you do other things, and then that's how you get. You move along.
Mm-hmm. What would you say is your favorite non-kaiju piece of art that you've done?
Oh boy, that's a big one to ask. I don't really have favorites. I've done some work with Clive Barker. I did some piece with Clive Barker, and that was a pretty fun piece to do. Mm-hmm. I've got some other things that I've done that I'm really, really quite happy with, and it's always the next one. They say, what's your best piece of your next one? Because you've rethought it, and you're going to be better, or the next round.
Awesome. All right. So Zoom is, and as you can, I don't know if you guys can see, the Zoom is ticking away like, hurry up. But I want to ask. I want to spend some more time with Bob. I don't want to keep asking questions, by the way, guys. Yeah. So we're gonna take a quick break, intermission, see if we can extend our little session here, guys. Apologies again for this hot mess of a stream. Thank you so much. I didn't catch what you said there.
Make another link and email it to me, and we'll do it all over again.
All right, cool. So, all right, guys, bear with me. We're gonna take a quick breather. All right. We're gonna see if I can extend this session. All right. Okay. We'll be right back after these messages. Hi guys. Sorry. Bear with me. I'm trying to get Oh my god. This is such a hot mess of a stream. Oh my god. Hold on. I'm going to play the video. I'm going to play the video again. Put this in the blooper reel. So I am currently trying to get Bob back into Zoom. I don't think he's able to rejoin, so we might have to do a part 2 of this stream. All right. So I guess, unfortunately, we're going to have to cut this short for tonight. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Wait, baby. Wait for it. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. We might have something. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Bob?
Yeah, you here?
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Where's your beautiful face?
Hold on. There we are.
And we're back. All right.
Hold on. I see a pink thing looking at you, though.
Oh yeah, that's my logo. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Oh dear God. This is a hot mess of a stream. So sorry, but ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, so back to our conversation here. So I really like that your kaiju art, with your kaiju art, you not only reimagine like scenes from kaiju movies and stuff, like you almost kind of like create your own story and you bring fantasies to life. I like that.
Yeah, it's fun to do, because I look at the monster personalities. When I wrote and painted Godzilla and Hell #2 back in 2015, and it became a comic that went into 3 printings, and it was unprecedented for IDW. They never had a thing go like that ever, so it was incredible.
That is awesome. So I'm sorry, I'm trying to read my my notes here. I'm just not here tonight. So what are some
I'm still seeing your pink logo.
Yeah. Okay. Let me turn on my thing. It's fine. You can still hear me though, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. There we go. Let's see. You can see my beautiful face. The chat can see my beautiful face, but you can't. But okay.
So
So
run along these nifty. This is this nifty Godzilla bag, and you can get it at FYE or at FYE.com, and they're like $5 each or something, and you can put your kaiju toys inside them, and and that's my artwork. That's my artwork.
That's awesome.
And then of course the Mezco, Godzilla versus Hedorah. And what they did was they just sort of arbitrarily used, because of the way that their agreements work, Toho kind of was able to use it. And so they used the artwork from the Godzilla 20, one of the comics I did 8 years ago. And in the comic, the Heisei Godzilla is battling the 71 Hedra. And so that's what we did. So everybody's like, but of course it's set. It's got the 71 Godzilla and so on. So there was some ruckus. There was a bit of ruckus, people going like, oh, he didn't pay it. I was like, no, it's because I had no say in it. They just used it, and I even had to buy one. I had to buy one of these. And still, this just came out, and this is gorgeous. It is called the Godzilla Guide. It's on Amazon. That's the only place I've seen it and can get it. It's a British book from Welbeck Publishing, and it has got it's real nice. It's got some very nice. It's got a lot of nice pictures in it. Loads of pictures.
Ooh.
Posters and it's very nice. And it's got and then at the back. But wait, there's more.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
It's basically they go through Shin Godzilla. They've got Godzilla Planet of the Monsters in there. They've got the American movies, as they put it, and they have all the listings of all of the films there. And then they go to manga and comics. What's on there? One of my pieces right on the other page. And they credit me for that. And let's see, it's in there's another one up here that they used.
Ooh.
So this is a really nice collection of. It's a really nice book. They're about $30 on Amazon, but they are really they've got a really nice. It's a really nicely put together. Welbeck Publishing, and they're in the they're in UK and Australia, and it's sort of it would be considered, I guess, an import book, but it's got some nice pictures from Monster Zero in there.
Nice.
It's considered an import book, but I've seen it on Amazon, and I got it in a day. I just bought one. So it's got this really kind of textured cover.
Ooh, all right. That is awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Christmas is coming. So if you guys want to buy me that book on Amazon, my address is 123 Internet Street. No. But yeah, I definitely want to get my hands on that book. That looks awesome.
It's a good book. It's a good book. It's some people call it kind of a little bit basic, but it's any book that is published, that is here, that's got some really good Godzilla pictures is going to be a good book,
Yeah, more Godzilla pictures is always good for everyone.
Yeah. But I think that we're having a golden age of Godzilla. I mean, it's just been, there's Comet Network they keep doing almost monthly Godzilla marathons, and they will be doing another one. And TCM is starting to show Godzilla movies. They showed Godzilla versus Godzilla 74 as part of their robots month they had. And so, literally, that's and Toho's they started to realize the value of getting these really good prints of these movies that are subtitled in English out to the fans, because in 2002, when I went over there, my friend now that I met him, he was the president of Toho at the time, Shoko Tomiyama, and we're really good friends now. And he was sitting talking to me, and he said, "So, what do you think of?" He's very straight. He said, "What do you think of the whole bootleg situation in America?" And I said, "Well," I said, "you could end that in one fell swoop." I said, "If you just put out letterboxed copies of the films on at that time, we didn't have Blu-ray then, we had DVD. I just put them out on really nice DVDs with subtitles and the option of getting English dub or going back, whatever." And they had no idea. He had absolutely no idea that the prints that were being shown on things like USA Network at the time, the Sci-Fi Channel and stuff like that, TNT, that they were these really badly aged prints. They didn't look good, and it made the films look cheap. And as I put it to him, I said, it made the studio look, it's a bad image for the studio. And I think that was the hook that he went on, and he's writing all this stuff down in his little book, and he was writing it down. He was, "Okay, I'll see what I can do." So we get back, and then in spring of 2002 on the Sci-Fi Channel, they start showing letterbox versions of really nice versions of the Godzilla movies, the classic ones. And I think that they didn't really think that there was this big of a market over here. Now I think Toho absolutely is loosened up, and they understand that completely over here. So that's a good thing, because it means that we're going to see lots of. Look what they've done with Godzilla Day. They've extended it right through. They do it right in the U.S. as well. They let you can. They stream it through the U.S. and stuff like that, and so I think it's like the best time in the world to be a Godzilla fan. Who would have thought?
Yeah, we're getting all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, even with the NECA figures that were released, a few years back, that I have a few here, and we couldn't get stuff like that years ago. Like when I was a kid, I was stuck with the, Trendmasters toys with the green Godzilla. I'm like, Godzilla's not green.
Yeah, and that was Henry G. Saperstein, who at the time he had signed a deal from 1966 to 1996. He was Godzilla's rep in America, and the result is you had the comic books. He was green. You had the toys and Mattel toys, the Shogun Warriors. He was green, and then Trendmasters. He was green because he had this idea that he said part of the thing was that Godzilla was green, and that, as we know as fans, that's not necessarily the case. There's a couple of films he's appeared green. He's got a green cast to him, but on the whole, I go for the charcoal color. And allegedly in the first movie, the '54 movie, he was supposed to be brown. He was supposed to be kind of this brown color, and I've seen tinted photographs that illustrate that kind of idea in Japan. But. It's interesting how they switch they do all this, but I just think he's best, as we see him all the time, is just this charcoal color.
Yeah, and Doomzilla pointed out, except that in 2000 and Mechagodzilla, Godzilla actually is green. But
Exactly.
even so, he's kind of like a more grayish green, but I can see it. Yeah.
And Godzilla versus Gigan in '72. They gave it a green. They gave the 1968 suit, because that suit went for 4 years, and it was threadbare by the time they were working with it. And Haru Nakajima was saying that he said at a convention a long time ago. He said getting in the suit was, it was really kind of moldy, and so they freshened it up with a coat of paint, and they used some silver and green in the paint. So if you look at some of the photos and you look at some of the true color corrected stuff of that particular 70, he's got a little bit of a green tint to him there too. So he's he wasn't he's definitely we can't rule green out of the picture.
Fair enough. All right, Danny Demana says, I used generic dinosaur toys as stand-in for my Godzilla playtimes as a kid, or I made the monsters out of clay or whatever I can get my hands on. Now Walmart sells them for $12 a pop. Like we said, good time to be a Godzilla fan.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. Back then, in my day, the big thing was getting your hands on the Aurora model. Remember the Aurora 1964 model, and it was very hard to get because they underproduced it, and then they made it in '69 as the glow in the dark one, they still underproduced it. And then recently, Atlantis Models went back and they did a redux of all the parts, and they recast the whole thing. And so they had the thing. So instead of $3.95, it was back in 1970 or 71. It's now, $32.95. So, but back then that was the thing you wanted, was that Godzilla model, because it was really the only thing that was the merchandising. And even the Marasan figure was based off of it in Japan. So they had there was an interesting time for that.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any figures within your reach by any chance that you can show off?
Oh, I've got a.
Yeah, see a little bit of your collection there. Oh, there he is.
Oh, you don't understand. I have a collection that is just insane. I mean, I've got like, it's insane. I mean, some of it's in boxes and stuff like that, and I've got all these things in other areas of, it just gets kind of it becomes a mass of something, and I've got like so much stuff around, and oh boy, I mean, there's stuff back. I've got model kits that I haven't built, like this. Let me do a just walk you guys over here. You can see these. These are all sort of like, some of my stuff in my studio, and this is just really
nice.
Just some of it, really. I mean, it's just some of it. So I have a crazy studio with all kinds of props and things that I use as reference when I'm doing this kind of stuff, which is great to do. I mean, it's what I love doing. So that's it's sort of like Godzilla has brought me here, which is like amazing. It's been an interesting voyage, and he's sort of always been my
your muse.
Yeah, and he's just misunderstood. Godzilla's like anything; he's misunderstood. He's a product of our own making. He's trapped in a world we never made, and look at what that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing his thing. He's doing his Godzilla thing, and he protects us on one hand, but he also is ready to destroy us too. So
I don't think he's so much protecting us, but just protecting his territory.
This is it. It's like, it's all right if I attack them, but not you.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying. That's how we get in verses. You know what I mean? So I think that's the whole score.
Mm-hmm.
And I think through the evolution of Godzilla, he's changed. I mean, look at the 1970s. You had Godzilla versus Megalon, where not only he's already flown, but he flies in that too. But he's got his Jaguars, his buddy becomes his buddy, and they shake hands. And, he's got that kind of, he's just changed through the years. He became the superhero Godzilla, and for the 1970s largely. And then, he came back in 1984, and for us, 85, and he became the most fierce Godzilla, you know what I mean? And so that's what it's good to he's and they remade him again. They remade him and they killed him, and then they remade him again, and you have three unrelated movies that took place in 1999, 2000, and 2001. They were completely three unrelated films to anything. They weren't sequels to any of the other stuff. They were just lineage. They were lineage of. They were just part of the whole, part of the Godzilla whole, and Tokyo SOS and Godzilla Against Godzilla were kind of a two-part film, really, when you think about it. And and Toho can do whatever they want. Megaguirus takes place in an alternate universe where Osaka becomes the capital of Japan, and Godzilla is kind of like sucked into it. They're going to suck him into a black hole. And one assumes that what happens at the end is he's been pulled into this black hole, and he shows up in another universe, and maybe our universe. I mean, it's really something that is you're getting into metaphysics like that. But I think it keeps him fresh and original, and So there you are.
Yep. All right, going back in the chat a little bit, we had a question from Doomzilla. What are some of the challenges you faced with your art?
Oh, boy. Challenges, just getting things done. As I get older, I don't have the energy that I had when I had 30 years ago, and I've had a few health issues over the last few years too, and it's just something that something I've had to contend with, and it's getting it done and making sure it gets done and it gets out, things like that, and that's been I'm a traditional painter, so I don't work digitally, but sometimes I do, but I don't work digitally, which means that I have to get somebody to photograph my artwork, and that's a real bear, getting somebody to be able to photograph the artwork so it can be combined, be transmitted through the internet, because of course they don't do, before I used to send out slides to people and things like that. So it's all different now. It's all different.
Yeah, technology has evolved, but of course, as we've witnessed tonight, technology can also be a pain in the anus. So, oh dear God. All right, so there's another comment that I wanted to bring up. Give me a moment. Up from Danny once again. You really do deserve residuals for that stuff, Bob. I think it was referring to from the books we were looking at earlier. Yeah, Toho license agreements are what they are, of course, but still.
Yeah, at least I wish I could get free ones. You know what I mean? That's the pain in the butt. You know what I mean? It's just like at least the comic companies, the book companies, they would send me all kinds of copies of these stuff, and IDW was great. It sent me a big stack of books, and I could buy extras from them if I wanted at a very reduced price. But this is just kind of like, these came out of the blue, and nobody even bothered to say, hey, Bob, would you like one? Your artwork's on there, and that's kind of a weird thing, but I make prints of them, so it's all right, so it is fun to see. I mean, like we're learning. We're in FYE the other day, and that's my artwork, and there's also that artwork that I showed you in the bags. That's on a hoodie. You can buy that on a hoodie in FYE as well. So it's all over the place, and but we'll see. I'm doing some more work with IDW coming up. I don't want to say too much about it, but coming up with more work with IDW.
Excellent. Oh, well, I'm looking forward to what comes out of that. So, going back to you, like your artwork, kind of reimagining scenes from kaiju movies and almost kind of like creating your own story with it, like Godzilla versus Gamera. That's kind of you see in the thumbnail of this video. And the painting, one of the ones I have on my wall with the 62 Godzilla going up against Ghidorah. I love that one so much. Okay. So I was wondering, like, what are some other like reimaginings or hypothetical scenarios in like the kaiju universe that you would like to bring to life through your art in the future?
Wow, that's a deep one. Well, I want to I can tell you what I want to do. I'm working on a painting of Daimajin. I've got that coming out because I really love Daimajin. It's just like he's just incredible. 3 films, and then of course they had that series. I guess they made it later on, but 3 films, and what films they were really phenomenal. And I've always loved the Gamera movies anyway. I mean, I love the original ones, and then I love the Shusuke Kaneko's, remaking of them in the 1990s. Those are just pretty incredible pieces, pretty incredible film to see, and it's just like it would be. I don't know. I don't know. I just think that I would like to do. I've got all kinds of ideas. I want to do a little more of the legendary type stuff. That's kind of fun. That would be fun to do. Something in that direction.
That would be awesome. How much would it cost for me to commission you to do a Godzilla 2000 piece? Like, I have one that's kind of like the Millennium design, but like I want like full on Godzilla 2000, like Godzilla facing off against Orga or something, because Godzilla 2000 is my favorite Godzilla movie. So, could you do how much money? How much of my rent do I need to give you? No.
we can talk. Yeah, I'm doing a commission for a guy right now with Godzilla 2002. There's a lot of private Godzilla work. That's what's interesting. A lot of private Godzilla pieces, and that's kind of fun to do. And I got one guy. He's great. He wants a Godzilla 2002, and of course that's the one I was in, the movie I was in. So it's kind of fun to do those things. One of my friends I've become very, very dear friends with is Megumi Odaka, her husband, and they become like family, and I talk with them a lot. And I just did a little commentary on Megumi's work for this coming out. It's a kind of brochure that's going to be in Japan. They're putting together some appreciation of Megumi, something I do with Megumi. I don't know what it is, wasn't explain what it is, but they asked me for several paragraphs commentary on Megumi's contributions from my point of view as Miki Saigusa in the 90s Godzilla movies, and I titled it The Godzilla Whisperer.
Very accurate.
That's what she
is.
Yeah, and they're just super nice people, and I became very good friends with them, great rewards, and I get to know and become a very dear friend of Akira Takarada in Japan and his family, and this is not easily done. These are not, it's not as easy as you think it is, and these people welcome you into their life, and it's a very, and it's very beautiful. It's a very nice thing, and I got to, spend a lot of good quality time with Takarada. So he's a very, what a great man. What a great man he was, and he's been in so many movies, and he's so sociable, and so he's so sociable. He would come out and like say, get a picture, like that, and he'd be really funny. And then we were at a restaurant in Boston. And here he was, I guess he was maybe about 79, 80 or 81 at the time. And he drank like three young guys in their 20s under the table because he wanted the best sake in the house. So, and he's still there. And it's like water to him. And these guys are like just boom.
Oh my goodness.
And I thought it was pretty funny. It was really funny. And that was when we got Haru Nakajima along, and I got them to sign a poster that I did of Famous Monsters of Filmland with the Godzilla 1954 on it, and I got them to sign it for me, and so it's kind of nice having like all the signatures from the movie on my artwork on a Famous Monsters cover, which for me is like really that was a moment for me. That was a great moment.
I would imagine so. That sounds amazing. You got to speak with Nakajima-san?
Oh yeah. And I met him a long time ago too, in the 1990s when he was a little young. He was younger and a little more agile. And in his last years, he his health was a little bit dodgy. But he was just so nice. He loved the fans. He thought the fans just kept him. Fans just kept him going because he was really enjoying just talking with people, and his reminiscences about everything that went on when he was in the thing, and the way the suits, various, he'd have to do things, and he was sort of, his whole reminiscences about all of it were really something to hear him talk about. So, and Ken Satsuma, the same thing. He's another great guy.
You met some really awesome people. Like, I've had the pleasure of meeting Megumi Odaka and Akira Takarada, God rest his soul. And I'm sad to say I never got to meet Haruo Nakajima, but it's awesome that you got his autograph and you got to speak with him and hang out with him for a little bit. That's amazing.
What was kind of fun too is 2004. This was Godzilla's 50th anniversary, and the Egyptian Theater in California did a celebration of Godzilla films, and they played Monster Zero one night. And so we went there and saw the movie, and Steve Reifel, well-known guy in all of this, he worked with Ed Godziszewski, they co-wrote the Yoshiro Honda book. But they invited Jeb Stewart Adams, who was Nick Adams' son, to come to the screening. And Jeb had always been told that Dad had done these movies, Frankenstein Conquers the World and Monster Zero, just to pay some bills. and he never knew that anybody would revere them those years later and give his father a big applause on the screen. He'd never seen his father on the big screen, so this was the first time we'd seen him on the big screen. I went up and shook his hand and talked to him, and he was just really overwhelmed by it all. He was just like, he said, "Wow," he said, I didn't know," he said, "that people would fill an entire theater and applaud for my father," like that in this movie that he made in 1965. And so when you see that kind of connection, it's really sweet. It's really nice. And it's just really great. I mean, in 2002 I got to tour Toho before they were actually really the more modernized studio that they are now. But I got to see a lot of the prop rooms, and I saw some of the suits, the Godzilla suits that were. I found what was left of Mothra from Destroy All Monsters. It's just a pile of disintegrating foam with a tube in it, and then you can see that burgundy color shell sections on it, and they were looking at it going like, "We have no idea what this is." And I said, "That's Mothra from 1968." And they were like, "Wow, you should work here because you know more about this studio than we do." And but I got to see prop, so it was really something to see. It was really something to be part of, because they don't have that anymore. So but it's really something to see the physical. I do love the suit work. I like the CG stuff in the Legendary pictures, but I really love the suit work as well in the Toho pictures, because this was a craft. It was a very artistic craft, and it's a lost art. It's become a very lost art these days.
It really is. And I do hope that the new Godzilla movie that's coming out in 2023 uses traditional guy in a suit tokusatsu. But I mean, again, I am grateful just to get a new Godzilla movie, but at the same time,
likely it will, because Yamazaki he owns a CG studio that's going to be doing the effects. They did the same effects for Shin Godzilla, and they did some stuff for Always. You saw that movie Always, the sequence in it where Godzilla appears, but it's a retro old 1950s 40s Godzilla, and that's all CG, and that was one of the first and if you see that, people look and they say, "Oh, that's how Godzilla," that's probably the way Godzilla is going to look, so because as much as they love the suit. I mean, I saw the short with Godzilla versus Gigan, and it was so great to see physical effects happening again, and it's astonishing watching them work on this stuff, and I got to see that in 2002. I got to see them working on the special effects and Tom Kitagawa was wearing the Godzilla pants, I call them, and he would lift his foot up and he's stepping on shoe boxes, and I'm going like, "What is he?" They go, they said he's practicing, because they brought up this gorgeous model, and you can see it in the first part of the movie when this foot comes down on the house, explodes, and everything goes everywhere. What happens is that they had one chance to get this right. All the explosives had to go off. His foot had to hit it the right way, and they had to have the camera on it at the right angle, all this kind of stuff. And otherwise, it would have been back to the model shop. They would have to rebuild the model. It would take another week to do, which is more money and more time. And in film business, that's a big problem. And so he was stepping on shoe boxes to get it right. And then we finally felt that he could do it. He got over and he had his ninjas help him. He's got a team of about 10 guys that help him. You don't see him, it's really amazing to watch. And he lifts his foot up, smashes down, the house blows up. It looks like firecrackers going off. Bang, 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 bang. And then, of course, like a piece of the chunk of the ashes hit me right in the chest, because I was like about 20 feet away from watching this. And so then it's all done, and they go right over to the video playback to see if they got the shot right, and their hearts are pounding because they're worrying that did we get it? And like they look at it, the producer looks at it, and the director of the special effects looks at it, and he gives it a thumbs up, and they move along and they do the next shot.
Awesome. I would have loved to see something like that. As someone who is kind of dipping their toe into filmmaking and is a huge Godzilla fan, I would have loved to see that so much.
Yeah, just watching them film this stuff was really amazing, and how I mean, it's arduous work. I mean, when Tom Kitagawa gets in that suit, he's going to squeeze himself in, and he has to kind of get into a kind of a place in his mind. It's almost like a kind of a little bit of hypnosis that he does on himself, so that he won't get like claustrophobia, or he won't get, because you're literally sealed in this thing. It's a sensory deprivation, and you have people telling you where to go. Like you have to put your foot forward, and it's very difficult. And it's very heavy too. The suit it's still very heavy, and he picked me up. He had fun with me. He wanted to show how strong he was. So he grabs me by my legs, and I'm on his back like this, and he runs around the studio stage with me, and he's going, oh, and he looks and he says, you need to lose weight. And he goes, you're heavy as a Godzilla suit. I'm like, okay.
Gee, thanks.
It's kind of fun. He's a great guy. I love Tom. He's a great guy. He's a wonderful artist, a magnificent, wonderful artist. You ever seen his artwork? It's just beautiful.
Oh yeah, I would imagine so. He seems like a great guy. I would love to meet him in person one day.
Yeah.
All right. Jane Meyer says you should write a book about your stories.
Oh, I got a book on memoirs I'm writing. It's going to be a larger book about my life in science fiction, and I'm going to tie all that into it, and I'm going to get into some other personal stuff in it. But I've already got a publisher that's interested in reading it. They want to read it, and I really want to do something like this, because my writing, I like nonfiction. I write nonfiction. I've written essays in Stephen Jones' edited book called The Art of Horror. He did The Art of Pulp Fiction, The Art of Pulp Horror, The Art of Horror, and The Art of Horror Movies. And I contributed either artwork or essays to each one. And one of them, I wrote the entire chapter on giant monster movies in the 50s. And it came out really nice. It's fun to do. It's like, I love doing that kind of factual, researching and stuff like that, and the fiction it's a little tougher for me, but I love writing that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Well, I'll be looking for that stuff, because I'm trying to get more books in my collection, and read for kaiju stuff. So yeah, that would be awesome to look at. But I think that just about wraps up our discussion for tonight. So thank you so much, Bob, for coming onto my show.
I loved it. It's great. It's great talking, you guys. Thank you very much. I thank you all the questions. It's great. Love talking to people. Oh boy, I'm going to be in lots of good things coming up. I'll be at All Monsters Attack next year, probably G-Fest and other things like that, and then some other varying conventions in between all that. We're going to be at one in a couple of next week, right after Thanksgiving, in Boxborough, Mass. And Linda Miller from King Kong Escapes, who is another good friend of mine.
Oh.
So she's got an interesting story of her life, and it's this kind of it's very surreal when you're with these people and you're like, I'm just sitting there chatting about whatever, something really stupid even. You just, and I'm going like, I can't believe it. I'm just kind of sitting here with Linda Miller, who I kind of, saw on 1972 when I was a little kid, and when I saw King Kong Escapes on the big screen, and she was there, and I'm thinking, who is she? And then I'm here 50 years later going, this is her. And she's here. We're having a coffee or something like that. There's something really surreal in a great fun way with that. I enjoy that a lot. And they just and the people, you know what I mean? And just the people that it's just like something that you I guess I love something enough it comes to you, and Godzilla and Kaiju is it's so big right now. It's really become a big thing, and I think a lot of people are. It's a great time. Don't let anybody kid you. It's a great time to be this. Speak of somebody who used to search TV guides in the 1970s to when Godzilla was airing at 1 o'clock in the morning, and asking my mother, "Can I stay up and watch that?" And because we didn't have VHS, we didn't have DVDs, we didn't have any of things like that. So, it was just nice to be able to have something like that. And there was sort of a challenge in it, but now it's everywhere, and it's a high definition and all kinds of stuff. So.
It is awesome, yeah. And you have a lot of awesome friends. We need to hang out more, you and I. All right.
What did see you at Chiller? Were you at Chiller?
I was at Chiller, yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's what. I mean, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, and I was at G Fest too. We
That's
briefly
right.
saw. Yes. All right, but thank you again for coming on, and to you guys watching at home, thank you so much for hanging out with me and my fantastic guests. Apologies for all the hot mess.
Well, yeah. Sorry about the thing, but you know,
It
it worked out.
happens. It happens. It worked out, and we had a wonderful time with Bob. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Like the stream if you had a good time here tonight, despite everything. And be sure to tune in next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, for another edition of Chill with Kaiju Kim. Thanks for watching. See you next time.